Thank you so much for joining us tonight for the Navigating Your Life show. I'm your host, Nat Williams. Tonight we will place our lens on autism, and to highlight some statistics, it is believed that 1% of the population of children in the United States, ages 3 through 17, have an autism spectrum disorder. The prevalence is estimated at 1 in 110 births, and 1 to 1.5 million Americans live with an autism spectrum disorder. It is the fastest growing developmental disability, having grown at 1,148%. The cost of lifelong care can be reduced by 2/3 with early diagnosis and intervention, and the source of this information is the autismsociety.org. Tonight we'll examine new trends in supports and services for individuals with autism. Recently, I had the opportunity to visit the Autism Research Community Hub, also known as ARCH, of Lehigh Valley in Allentown. I spoke with a parent about their experiences and also a staff member about the services they offer. Here's what happened. Kim, thank you so much for joining us today to have a conversation.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. I understand you have a child with autism?
I do. I have an 8-year-old son, Lucas, and he has autism. I also have a 10-year-old, but he does not have autism.
Wow. What is it like having two children, one with a challenge and one without?
I think I'm one of the lucky ones. My children get along really, really well. My older son is very motherly, so he's overprotective of his younger brother because he realizes that he does have autism. But my kids really get along pretty well.
Sure. As I share with you, I have a son with autism, and one of the things that I find very interesting is sometimes people say to you that they're sorry that you have this as a challenge, and I don't see that as my circumstance, and because you don't know what sometimes to say back to them. But what do you say when someone says that they're sorry for
It's funny, when I first started working here, there was a lady who came in and she heard that I had a son with autism, and that was the first thing she said, was that she was sorry, and I just thought how sad for her, because I feel very lucky, and he has shown me so much, and I'm just a better person for him being in the world, really.
Sure. Wow. And in networking with other parents, what have you done to network with others?
Well, that means everything, I think. In the autism world, you learn about doctors, you learn about schools, you learn about dentists. Something you don't learn any of that with pediatricians. The pediatricians don't tell you anything, they don't recommend anything. Being a parent of a child with autism, you really have to navigate your own medical schooling. It's a lot of pressure, and it's a lot of decisions that you have to make on your own, more so than a child without special needs.
Sure. I think it's very interesting that as a parent you've come to work here, which is a resource center for families. How have you found bridging those two worlds and walking on both sides of that experience?
I was very lucky to, I'm very honored to work here. Some people wonder how you can do both, because you go home and your life is, and you might want to get away with it and with your job. But for me, I learn more, and just supporting other parents and just learning from each other, just new, whether it's medical advice or things like that. I just love helping other people and trying to give them hope, just telling my story to other parents. It's been a wonderful experience working here.
Well, Kim, thank you so much for taking time to spend with us today.
Sure.
So what do you do here at ARCH?
I'm a licensed clinical social worker.
Okay.
They're using me in the outpatient diagnostic program.
Okay. And what does that program do for families with children with autism?
We have children of all ages come in. Parents are usually looking for to rule in or out the diagnosis of autism. So we will administer some standardized assessments, do clinical interviews, provide a diagnosis if that's necessary, and then we link them with services here at the ARCH or elsewhere in the community.
And walking around this building, there are so many resources that are available, from the rooms with the different kind of lighting and colors and puzzles and wheeze. How do you find that helps you in assessing youngsters for autism? Is that different modalities work with different children?
It gives me, I can see the child in a variety of different settings. I can see them, maybe if they're comfortable playing a familiar game on the Wii, I can assess them or maybe talk to them a little about all different settings. I can see them at their best and sometimes at their worst. Another thing that it allows us to do here is sometimes take the stress off of parents when they're taking their children to doctor's appointments and they're trying to keep them corralled in the waiting room or trying to talk to the clinician while their child is screaming or trying to get out the door. And all of these extras here at the Arch allow for the child to engage in things while the parent's able to give us an accurate assessment.
With me in studio today is Ms. Emily Lehman, who has a master's in social work and is the clinical director of the Arch of Lehigh Valley. So welcome, Emily.
Thank you.
Good, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Why don't you tell us how the Arch was developed and why it was developed?
Well, the Arch was developed through many years with hard work with parents in the community as well as Lehigh County working together because there was kind of a void of certain services available for children and families with autism in our area. And they worked together to create a resource such as the Arch where we could offer a variety of different types of services, traditional services as well as very innovative types of things to offer to the community in Lehigh County.
Is this only available in Lehigh County, or are there other centers across the state or across the nation, or is this one of a kind?
I believe from my understanding that this is an innovative project, that there have been discussions of similar projects taking place in other areas modeled after the Arch and some other things that are fairly similar but nothing exactly like it.
Good. So what is it that goes on in this center that makes it special? What are the services that you offer that are really trying to meet that need that you heard very loudly from the parents and individuals that they needed?
Well, we offer a variety of therapeutic services. We have home-based wraparound services which are provided in the community, in clients' homes, in daycares, schools. We have 2 site-based programs. We offer a therapeutic summer camp for 6 weeks each summer, and we just started operating a therapeutic after-school program where children come after school to be in a social environment that's geared towards developing skills that they need to practice. We also have an outpatient clinic in which we operate diagnostic assessments. We also offer individual, family, and group counseling. The group counseling is something different, I think, to the idea of outpatient services because we are gearing that towards developing social skills for kids with autism. And are able to provide different types of things and resources focusing on those. We also have other services that aren't therapeutic. We have a resource room at the Arch, which
so that's like a library where people could come and...
It is.
And I think when I was visiting the center, I think I had a chance to be in that room, and you had a list of books on different providers and different kinds of issues. It was and computers were there as well. So it really was as you say, a really good resource for people
for families and other professionals in the community too, who are looking for information and how to help families that they're working with. We also offer a variety of different parent support groups, which are developed based on the different needs that we're facing. We currently are operating several different support groups and are really seeing a good turnout to that.
And I would think you would agree that for a lot of individuals with autism, that relationship with whoever is helping them is so important. It's the difference between seeing progress or people maintaining or regressing. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, and I think that that's a big part. We're working with some of the children and all the individuals, adolescents, adults as well, to develop those relationships. So I think that that's a key part in having a successful treatment program, is that that relationship is there with the professionals working with that family also.
And what are you hearing from parents and others as they go out to the community, and what the community, what they're experiencing in the community, and feedback they're getting as they venture out with their son or daughter into the community? What are they experiencing as they venture out?
I think that really varies. I think that as a community, public in general, we're becoming more aware of autism because of the amounts, as you had talked about, kids who are being diagnosed today. So I think in general we are becoming more aware, and the community is becoming a little bit more tolerant and understanding of it. But I think a lot of parents do face challenges because sometimes the individual with autism may in many ways appear very typical, and some of the challenges that happen out in the community can be seen by others as, is this a child who's just not behaving? Is it a parent who's just not following through and intervening? And that's truly not the case. And sometimes in the situation, it's really hard to figure out what the best thing to do for that child is.
Before we wrap up, is there anything else that you'd like to share with our viewers regarding your center or autism in general?
I just think it's been very exciting. The Arch is a new place in the area, and we've had a lot of great feedback from families being able to be excited about the new resources we're able to offer, and I hope we continue to move forward and to be able to continue to meet those needs that families are expressing.
And having had a chance to visit your center, I think it was a wonderful place, and I encourage you guys to keep up the wonderful work that you're doing. It's important that we have you in our community.
Thank you.
We have to stop now for a brief commercial break. We'll be right back to talk with a researcher and an author.
Are you ready to experience personal success in all 8 domains of life? Then join Dr. Nat Williams for the Absolutes of Success Weekend Transformation Program at Tucson, Arizona, and achieve your greatest potential. Registration includes a 2-night stay with meals at the beautiful Westward Look Resort. Register today, only $6.99, or register with a friend and pay only $9.99 with shared room. Call 1-800-810-3683 or visit absolutesofsuccess.com.
Enrich your life at Sacred Heart Villa, situated atop Mount St. Michael on 40-plus scenic acres. Our caring staff includes missionary sisters and on-site licensed nurses 24/7. We offer medical reminders as well as dispensing medication and transportation to medical appointments. With excellent food, fun events, a spacious hall, safe rooms, and much more, your life will be enriched. Call 610-929-5751 or go to sacredheartvilla-readingpa.org.
Energetic, caring, and respectful are all words that describe Joseph, age 15. His bright smile and engaging personality draw people to him. His goal is to be a professional basketball or football player. Joseph enjoys playing video games, watching television, and reading. Joseph is in the 9th grade, he is a good student, and his report card is filled with A's and B's. He would love to be an only child in the family or the older brother so that he can be a mentor to the younger children. He is close to his natural siblings and will continue to maintain contact with them. For adoption information, please access the National Adoption Center's website at adopt.org. And for specific information on Joseph, please contact callen@adopt.org. Welcome back to the Navigating Your Life show. I'd like to welcome my next guest, Dr. Robert Melillo, author of Disconnected Kids, and Ellen Hunt, a mother of an autistic son. So, Doctor, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you.
Ellen's
Thank you for having us.
Good. First, we're going to start with talking with you, Doc, and if you could just help our viewers understand, what is autism?
Autism, from a symptom standpoint, is really a deficit of communication, both verbal and nonverbal. The child may have certain ritualistic type of behaviors or abnormal movements. But the real issue that I try to address in the book is really that question, which is, what is actually autism in the brain? What's actually happening in the brain? And that's something that isn't really commonly known. And I've spent the better part of 15 years really looking at that, because you can't really come up with a solution unless you know what the problem is.
Sure.
And so what we've been able to see is that it really comes down to poor coordination between certain areas of the brain, something known in science now as a functional disconnection, and that's actually the nature of the problem.
Wow. And in your book, Disconnected Kids, you talk about autism and ADHD and dyslexia and other neurological disorders. And are you saying that most of these disorders are of that same kind of situation where things are disconnected and not flowing as smoothly as they should?
Yes. For years, researchers have known that there's something similar about all of those disorders that we couldn't put our finger on. And now we know that it is this underlying processing imbalance in the brain between especially the two halves of the brain, where there's a communication breakdown. The good thing about that is that there isn't anything damaged or injured. There's no degeneration or focal lesion in the brain. What we're looking at is really just a developmental imbalance where certain areas of the brain are immature and other areas of the brain are maturing too fast and they can't communicate with one another.
And just to give you an example, my wife and I have a son with autism, and he can put together a puzzle and parts like there's no tomorrow.
Right.
And he's very advanced in his brothers and sisters.
Right.
But in some areas of social interaction, he's rather primitive. And that's an example of where you try to bring some balance between those two kinds of circumstances.
Exactly. One of the things that's characteristic of all of these children is this unevenness of skills, which tells us, if you have a child with true mental retardation or Down syndrome, all of their skills are delayed globally. In children with autism or ADHD or dyslexia, we see that certain skills are advanced for their age and other skills are really delayed. And that's the nature of the problem. And it also tells us that the whole brain isn't broken, that there are certain areas that we've actually documented with research that actually process information faster than normal. So the idea is just to create a balance between those areas, and you can correct the problem long term.
Now, you mentioned the diet and some other areas that you would look at, and just give us some examples of individuals that have gone through your center and what you've been able to do for them to help them improve.
Yeah, well, again, we usually put children into two major categories. One is a right hemisphere delay with left hemisphere strengths. That would be a typical child with ADHD or autism or OCD or Tourette's, where they have more social, nonverbal developmental delays, gross motor problems, but yet they're very strong in some of their early, reading skills, and they may be obsessive and compulsive. On the other hand, we have children with dyslexia or learning disabilities where the left hemisphere is weak and the right hemisphere is strong. And so we identify the nature of that and put together a program that focuses on that. But then we support it with nutrition and diet. Some of these children have food sensitivities, so we need to temporarily eliminate those. We need to give them vitamin supplements. It affects their digestive system, which stays immature. But the important thing to understand is that we don't believe that those problems are the cause of autism or ADHD. They are the result of. And that's very important, because if you don't address the imbalance in the brain, you're not going to ever get rid of these nutritional problems either.
Very good. And we have with us Ms. Ellen Hunt, a parent, and we wanted to bring the two, the professional as well as a researcher, together with a parent so that we can have a chance for dialogue. But I have some questions I want to ask you first as a parent. With your 8-year-old child, when did you begin to know that there was something that was different about the way he was developing as opposed to what you expected?
I guess we really started to notice things probably around the 1 year time. We felt that he was developing normally and hitting his milestones. Now that we've learned what signs to have looked for at an earlier age, we see some things that we probably should have picked up on or could have picked up on earlier. And he was my first biological child, my only biological child, so I had nothing to really compare it to. And I'm reading the book, What to Expect, and he rolled over, he sat up, and he did things that you were expecting to happen. We didn't see signs of changing from the feedings and to go from milk formulas to go to solid foods and things. We didn't see issues at that point. But as he started to develop, and as we were out in the community and we were participating in children's programs and things, I could see the relationships between other mothers and their child, and the relationship with my son was different. And I could see his relationship with peers was not the same as the other kids in the room or the peers that were in the room playing. So I could tell some things were going on, and certainly then the language development was not happening. We weren't getting the babbling that you would typically hear a child to do. We got words came out, and then we lost all those words.
Really?
We had duck and truck and ball, and then we lost them. But we never had the ma, 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 the dad, 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 the typical development of language. And then we lost that, and we lost language for probably 3 years, till after he was 4 years old.
And what do you think brought the language back?
I think a lot of hard work and dedication to work, as Dr. Murillo says, working on those deficits in those areas, a lot of speech therapy, a lot of work from us and interventions to pull that back out of him. And when it came back out, it came out as elephant and fire extinguisher.
Wow.
It didn't come out as ma, 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 dad, dad, dad again. All the words just started coming out. Now we have the issues of, is it appropriate language, if it's meaningful and purposeful? And that's the area that we're missing now. He's got the words, it's using them appropriately.
It's the timing, right? Wow. Well, we want to take advantage of having you both here together and for you to have a conversation. I know you, in the green room, you guys had a chance to converse, so why don't you pick up where you guys left off and what you guys were talking about there. so that our viewers can hear some of that dialogue.
Well, one of the questions I had asked was about the center. Of course, I'm always interested in hearing about what's new, what's out there, and what things that we can try, especially when they're not invasive to the child and it's really talking about helping them in a way that is not damaging to them or hurtful. And so I was really interested. We were kind of talking about the centers and what happens at a center.
Yeah, well, we've tried to create different levels, obviously, for parents who want to invest in the book, and they can do things from the book that really relate to this. But the centers, and we have in Pennsylvania here, we have two. One is in Wayne that's open now, and the other one will be around the Springfield area that will open in about 3 months. And essentially it all starts with an assessment where we look at everything. As we were talking about, it's not just one thing. There are sensory problems, and there's motor problems, and there's nutrition and diet, there's behavioral issues, there's academic and cognitive issues, and you really need to look at all of those, but each child is different. So in the center, it really is about looking and measuring functionally all of those things to see where there are strengths and where there are weaknesses. And then we identify them as more of a right brain or left brain type of deficient child. And we develop a curriculum that is specific to their weaknesses, and that also will do things like eliminate specific foods that they may be sensitive to, or give them vitamin supplements that are necessary, and we'll give parents some things to do at home to help behaviorally manage it. And the child comes in the center for 3 times a week for an hour, and we work with them along with home support. And after 12 weeks, we reevaluate the whole thing. And we get tremendous results. We've just published our first outcome study in regard to ADHD, and that will be coming out in the Journal of Adolescent and Child Health in a few weeks. And it showed that 82% of the children that we worked with after 12 weeks actually lost their diagnosis with ADHD.
Wow.
So,
Wow. That is a major accomplishment.
Yes.
Well, as always, such an important topic. We don't have enough time to keep talking about it. But before we leave, is there anything you'd like to share, Ellen or Doc, with our viewers as a parting thought?
I would just like to say that sometimes health issues or a diagnosis like autism can be sad or depressing to someone, and I've really felt that it's brought a new life for me, a new beginning of learning, and to learn to acceptance and look at things in a different way. And I think that that's been something that's been such a blessing or a benefit to my family and my life.
Wonderful. Doc, please.
I think similarly, one of the messages of the book is really understanding hope, that there's a lot of misconceptions out there. The idea that these are genetic disorders and they can't be corrected. That's not true based on the most current research. There's something called epigenetics, which was just a cover of Time magazine 2 weeks ago, which means that we're learning that the genes aren't damaged in any way. They're just segments are turned off by various environmental factors that we don't understand. But we know that there is the potential of turning them back on. So for parents, don't lose hope. Don't believe anybody tells you that your child, can't get better and that they're stuck with this for the rest of their life and they can't improve. It's not true. You need to really research it, and I think that the book will give them a really good information on that.
And your book is really outstanding. I think it gives them stuff that they can walk with. It's very easy to read, and definitely a wonderful resource. And we'll make sure it's on our website so they can get that if they choose. One thing we wanted to share with you is that Ellen, that we reached out to a hotel that is actually catering to families with autism, called the Clinton Inn Hotel in Tenafly, New Jersey. And we've arranged for a weekend getaway for 2 nights on us. And we hope that you can use it. And also some of the other families that we had a chance to visit with, we have the same thing for them. So hopefully you can take that back with them and they can enjoy some time away as a family.
Great. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thanks so much. So thank you, Doc, for being with us.
Thank you. Appreciate
pleasure.
it.
And Ellen, thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Okay.
Alrighty. We'll be right back after this break.
In these challenging times, your organization needs employees that maximize results. Human Works Training and Educational Services provides results-focused seminars for your staff. Topics include management and motivating employees, stress management, team building and leadership skills, and cultural diversity. Register today, just $89.99 or $75 for chamber members. Call 484-893-5057 or visit hwtes.com.
Enrich your life at Sacred Heart Villa, situated atop Mount St. Michael on 40-plus scenic acres. Our caring staff includes missionary sisters and on-site licensed nurses 24/7. We offer medical reminders as well as dispensing medication and transportation to medical appointments. With excellent food, fun events, a spacious hall, safe rooms, and much more, your life will be enriched. Call 610-929-5751 or go to sacredheartvilla-readingpa.org.
As we all know, the job market is difficult to penetrate. Please look at the short resume on the screen and contact the email address below if this person's skills is of interest to you or your company. Let's help them get back into the saddle.
Ready for some fun? FunWorks assists individuals with and without disabilities to participate in community activities. These activities are provided in small settings for 1 to 8 individuals with at least 1 to 2 direct support professionals. We visit places like Dollywood, Willow Valley Inn, Phillies Games, Iron Pigs Games, the Lehigh Valley Zoo, and more. Let us know your dream trip. Our staff is dedicated to ensuring your dream activities come true. For more information, call 888-966-9466 or visit funworksinc.org.
I hope today's show has been enlightening, encouraging, and empowering for you. Autism and other developmental challenges can be daunting for families and the individuals who experience it. However, we can make a difference by learning as much as we can about the much we do not know about autism and other life challenges, and being considerate of others around us who require a little bit more time and understanding to navigate life. I'm looking forward to having you join us next week when we'll be discussing heart health. A list of resources related to today's show is available on our website, which is navigatingyourlifeshow.com. While you are there, you can also email your comments about today's show and share ideas about future shows. Thank you so much for spending time with us this evening. I wish you the very best.